Welcome to the Honest Hounds podcast, a place where we shine a spotlight on our wonderful members and their lives with their dogs. We'll be diving into the inspiring, the thought-provoking, and the sometimes emotional journeys that we go on with our four-legged friends. So sit back and relax and be inspired by the journeys that present in front of you. And if you need a community from anywhere in the world for you and your dog, we're absolutely here. Alrighty, we are back with another episode of the Honest Hounds podcast, and this is one that I think a lot of people are going to be super invested in. I feel like it's a story and a journey that a lot of us have followed along with, and you've got so many people rooting for you guys in your corner. So great to be able to dive in a little bit beyond Instagram and actually get the story in a bit more fleshed out. So let's get stuck in. Who are you and who is your dog?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ellie and Ruby's the dog. This is Tom, my partner, also here.
Yeah.
Tom's like, I've been tagged in for I'm just going to sit here and be quiet. Amazing. So tell us a little bit then about your origin story. Who is Ruby? How do people know her? And what did the journey of you guys getting a dog look like?
Okay, so I got Ruby when I was still living with my parents, because I grew up with a collie, and she sadly passed away in 2022, I think. And the house was just so quiet, and my mum and dad, we all adored this collie, and I was like, right, I'm gonna buy a border collie puppy, and just not replace, but I needed another dog in our lives because the house was just so quiet. So anyway, I did a bit of research, found some puppies in a local farm that was local to the farm we got our previous collie. Didn't do much else research. I just focused on thinking that I knew what I was doing because I grew up with a collie. So we went to pick her up in February 2023. And she came home with us and she was absolutely fine. Had a few of the collie traits from the beginning, but she was very sociable, quite happy. Yeah, she was fine. She did guard. She was guarding from a young age. She guarded her food and shoes from a very young age, and I contacted a local trainer, and he helped with quite a bit. But we focused more heavily on training rather than kind of building our relationship. So a lot of it was heavy focus on like things like recall, and the normal obedience, because obviously she's a collie, so she loves training and loves listening to you. Um, so it started to go downhill when she was spayed. So uh, we went to the vets, our previous vet that we were with our old collie, and she recommended us having her spayed at 6 months before she even had a season. I just listened to the professional and didn't do much research into this.
I
And
remember what the suggestion was for that. I feel like we're in a time now where it's kind of gone the other way, but I haven't heard that at such a young age other than kind of like forced rescue.
Yeah, I know. It was just prevention of the ovarian cancer, whatever it is that it prevents. That was the only suggestion, and that was because the vet that spoke to us also knew our previous collie, and she lived to 16 years old, and she lived a happy, healthy life. She just said to us, "You might as well do it with this puppy because Molly lived that life." So
And
yeah.
she was
Yeah.
spayed at a similar.
So, 6 months before a season, but that was 20 years ago now. That was a long time ago when research wasn't as good as it is now. Yes, so I listened to that advice. She was spayed, and she didn't hate the vets before her spay operation. She used to go in, she had her regular checkups. She even had to have the sick injection a couple of times because she ate a few things she shouldn't have done, which she then guarded and I couldn't take off her. But she never had a problem with the vet. She never tried to bite the vet, never growled at the vets. And then we went through the spay operation, and then when I had to take her back to have checkups, it was like, no way, I don't like people touching me anymore. And then that came into the house. She didn't like me or my parents touching her, went on her terms. You'd wake up in the morning and come downstairs and she'd have a really wiggly bum. She'd come up to you, want loads of love, and then she'd go away and that was it. But then throughout the day, she'd demand love off you, and you'd go, oh, this is really nice. She wants to give us love, so let's give her loads of love back. Obviously now knowing not to do that, but It was really nice to kind of get that, but then it became a very fine line of she's demanding love, let's give her love now. And then everyone was like, right, stop now, move away, because she's gonna snap and bite you. She then started to guard her space really heavily after the spay operation, like she wouldn't let anybody near her bed, things like that. So that's when I then found the story of Atlas on Instagram, and that's when I needed to start the muzzle training. I saw it on your Instagram and other people's Instagram. I just reached out to a load of communities and different people that were wearing muzzles on on their dogs on Instagram and just asked for advice. And then that's when I joined the Honest Hounds community. I dipped in and out. I didn't feel like I felt like at the time I didn't need it as much as I thought I did. I thought muzzle trainers, that's it, we're going to be fine with that. But it just got worse from there. Guarding space, guarding
Am I right in thinking that you were also, because when we first met, you were kind of focused on the dog reactivity. And so I think it was similar with me when you've got so many things to think about and focus on when you are getting those little moments of, oh, well, I can touch her when. Then I think it's really easy to convince ourselves that, oh, well, I'll focus on the bit that doesn't feel as personal. Because let's be honest, human stuff is shit for all of us. But actually, we'll kind of take away the dog stuff. And you did amazingly with that. And you'd made so much progress then when we saw you.
Yeah.
And then I guess you get to the point where you're like, oh no, how we've worked on this bit, but this bit's still here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it came to a point where her dog stuff was coming down to a lot of guarding. So it was in the park, she had a few dog friends, but as soon as food came out or even a bird feather she wanted to lick and a dog came over, she'd guard that. And then it became a point where I became too anxious then and I was pulling her away from situations and I was getting all het up and anxious and she was obviously then feeding that off me and going, oh, hang on, why is mum really anxious as well? Like, so I feel like I started to isolate us both from going into busier places, and I then started to do all the earlier morning walks and kind of avoiding as much as we could. Um, she did though. She I don't want to say she did get better. She didn't get better, but I think we managed life really well. And then me and Tom bought this house in 2024. Oh my goodness.
2023.
2023, October 2023, moved in here and again managed life really well, but it was like we were letting her on the sofa. She didn't have a crate. She was crate trained from a puppy, and she loved going in a crate up until probably just after a spay operation when she was like on crate rest. And then after that, she started to refuse to go in the crate. So when we moved in here, we didn't put the crate back up. She just had free roam of everywhere except upstairs. We had a baby gate. Yeah, she was allowed on the sofa. She'd jump up on the sofa and we'd be sat watching TV and just be like, right, don't move. Don't move. And yeah, obviously not enough.
Isn't it amazing how normal that becomes? Like anytime I've told that,
So normal.
exactly the same. And we're like, it's just, it's like nice to have him here. Obviously. Off. And then you look back and you're like, what the hell are we doing?
Honestly, I was looking back at some videos and photos before trying to look at the timeline of things, trying to get a picture in my head. And I looked at some of the videos of us like letting her on the sofa and you can see her side-eyeing you and you're like looking back at it going, oh my goodness, why the hell did we let that happen? And she'd be lay on the sofa like pawing you, demanding attention, demanding attention, demanding attention. You give her a quick stroke and then she'd side-eye you and you'd be like, right, stop. And that, like you say, that became the norm and we managed life like that and it was absolutely horrendous. It all kind of kicked off. So we went away the end of last year, beginning of this year to Australia for 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks. And my parents had her and my parents were really great with her because obviously I bought her when she was a puppy when I lived at my parents. So she loves my mum and dad. She stayed with them for 2 weeks. So when we got back, she just seemed to have gone, it must have really stressed her out just being away from me for so long. I don't know if it was a bit of separation anxiety, but she lost loads of weight, had diarrhea for like 2 whole weeks. So when we came home, it was amplified about times 100. She then started to guard Tom from me. She started to guard the back of the sofa. She she'd guard anything. It was snapping at everything and anything. We had a week where she tried to bite us every single day. I think it was just horrendous. It was not a nice life to live. It was horrible. It was really horrible. And we'll be really personal and open here, but we nearly had a breakup. We were going through a really tough time because I was in the mindset going, we can change, we can do this, we can push through. And Tom was like, I can't see the other side of this. You know, if we ever wanted to start a family, how can you start a family with a dog like this? It was a really, really tough month and a half. And we worked with the behaviourist, and she helped us understand the kind of pathways and how to stop the pathways of her snapping, strengthening, and to kind of stand our ground, you know, keeping your hand there when she snaps and things like that. But for us, we needed more practical support. We were just going, we can't do that. I don't want to, even my dog's muzzled. Who wants to put a hand to a dog that's trying to bite you? I just cannot physically do it. So then we went back through another phase of us not going, and we can't do this.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna have to split up. This isn't nice. And then
I think this is the bit that so few people speak about, and it's what really frustrates me about the world where the advice is like, oh, just avoid it, just, you know, don't take them out, don't do those things, don't do this, don't do that. When you can no longer physically touch your dog, there isn't really a case for just not doing. And then the problem is that the stress then is on the humans, right? So the dog is obviously stressed in a different way, but it was the same with us, with me and Sean, is how can that not put an unimaginable amount of pressure and stress on your relationship when it's not coming? Like, I'm sure Tom wasn't like, oh, I should kick her out the door. It's the heavy weight and emotion that comes with the safety, and it's not nice to see it happen to you, but it's also not nice to watch it happen to your partner. And then you end up kind of both wanting the same thing. But we used to have days where it would flip. So like one day I would be more motivated, and then I would be like, I cannot do it, get this dog out of the house. And then it would be like, Sean would be like, well, I'm really motivated. And he obviously his mental health was tied to kind of us getting through it no matter what. So then I was like, well, I feel like I've not got any choice and no power. And then you just get to the point where you are literally surviving.
we were surviving day by day, and like you say, we were arguing about it. You know, it was Tom didn't want to take her out. You didn't want to take her out on a walk. You know, he'd try and put the muzzle on her. He'd try and put a lead on her. She'd just growl and snap at him, and then he was like, "I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it." I had to come home from work.
Yeah, I think the thing with me is as well, just as a person, just in general, is I'm very, I don't know if competitive's the right word. Well, I am competitive, but I don't know if that's the right word for this, like, context. But I hate being bad at anything. Like anything that if I put my mind to something and I want to do it, I want to do it. I want to do it well. And it was pissing me off a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you put the child.
I've already sworn I beat you to it. You're fine.
No, it was just winding me up that I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't bring myself to. Like Elle said, there was a situation where she had to come home from work 'cause I was going to take her out for a walk, and she wouldn't let me put a muzzle on her, and I had a muzzle half on her, but hadn't properly fixed it. And I don't know what I just did something wrong, but I think she could sense that I was anxious. It might have been the first time after the big, fiasco of post Australia. Might have been the first time I tried to take her out, and I was obviously anxious about the situation, but couldn't put this muzzle on her properly. And the muzzle was literally half hanging off her face, but half on. But I just couldn't get near it. Like I was just frozen. Like I couldn't go to her to either put this muzzle on or take it off. She was snarly, showing her teeth and everything. And yeah, just for me, it was just like Elle's always been very much. Elle understands it all more than I do. Elle knows it all. Elle obviously she does all. She knows everything about it. Like I don't know it in the same way. But Elle's always kind of got more of a what's the word, like a composed kind of mindset about it. Whereas with me, it's like it's not working. It's annoying me. I can't do it. Basically, I'd rather be like, well, forget about it. I'm not good at this. I'll find something else that I'm good at. It's just the way I am. Like I say, just with day-to-day life, with anything. If I'm not good at something, I don't want to do it. I'd rather find something I'm good at. So yeah, the situation was just becoming almost kind of untenable. It was a point where it was like, there's just no way that we can carry on doing this, because it's like, Elle's at work, the dog needs walking. I can't physically take her out because I can't get to her to put the muzzle on her, or I can't do this and I can't do that. So yeah, we were very much at at a crossroads as to
Well, and
what do we do?
that as well as that if you're like I think we're quite similar minded, but you weren't not putting the effort in. You're putting absolute hours and hours of energy in. So it's not like you're like, well, I'm not good at this, I won't bother. It's like I am doing everything I can in my being. And I think that trainers sometimes get a bit used to, like even now, like I do a lot more now with aggressive dogs, and obviously I did when I was just had Atlas. And even now, I, having been there, will slip into like, oh yeah, you just don't flinch. It's really important that you don't flinch now. No human being in the history of the world, like that has a brain and a consciousness, can do that unless they've practiced it. It is literally built into us to go, hey, a dog is trying to bite me. I'm probably going to create some space here. That would be smart. And so you're fighting everything that your body's telling you not to do, which is fine if you have a plan and it makes sense, but not if you're kind of going, my gut is telling me that this isn't really working for us either.
I think what I did find as well was that with some of the people that we saw prior to kind of coming on the retreat and everything, it was very much this belief of, and it feels really like prehistoric, but it's like, oh, well, he's the man. He can do all of this because he shouldn't be scared. He shouldn't be concerned by the fact this dog's aggressive. And it's like, oh, well, Elle, you can do this, but Tom can do that because he's a man and men are big and strong and men shouldn't be scared of this little dog or what have you. And it's like, for me, that also, I think I kind of played that into my head a little bit too much, knowing that it was basically a bag of crap anyway. Like that wasn't the
Peter, regardless of gender.
Yeah, but it was like I'd kind of got into my own head, like maybe they're right, maybe I shouldn't be scared of this. And without going on too much of a tangent because we're limited time, but
Love a tangent.
but as when I was younger, I never grew up with dogs, so I'd never had dogs around. But the only dog I ever knew was my auntie had a boxer dog who was big and jumpy, and she was a lovely dog, but she was massive, and I wasn't used to dogs being around. And she used to just scare me because she was so big and so bouncy. It wasn't that she was aggressive, and she just wanted to play. But when I was little and not used to dogs, this dog, I used to hate going to a house because I'd be like, I know the box was called Ellie actually. I know that Ellie's going to be there. She's going to want to jump up and she's going to want to play, and I can't deal with that. So I kind of always had a bit of a. I wasn't scared of dogs, but that was the only dog I ever knew, kind of growing up. So I've always been a bit more reserved around dogs anyway, just throughout my life. Because then the next dog I knew was Molly, Elle's dog, and then we've got a Shih Tzu at home as our family dog, and he's just literally just sits on your lap and sleeps. Want to do anything. Like he's kind of pointless in terms of like a dog world. He's not really a very good dog. He just kind of just wants to sleep and that's it, and then go out for a walk every now and again. But comparatively to Ruby, it's
Better let your mum listen to this podcast.
Oh, no, I love
you that is the dog that most people should get.
No, I love Pep. He's amazing. I love him, but he's in terms of he's not like a collie. Yeah. He's not a dog that needs 3 walks a day and is going to do all of this. He just sits on your lap and sleeps, and he's amazing. But he's completely different to what Ruby is. So, so yeah.
I think one thing for us that we obviously went through. We nearly broke up. I mean, me and Tom have been together 10 years. It's not like we're in a new relationship.
Yeah.
And we got to this point where we were like, I can't believe we're going to let a dog cause this to happen. We just bought this house, our first house. It was just unbearable. But we did a counselling session, didn't we? Because I was like, we need to try everything. So we did a counselling session with Rachel. It did help. I think it helped you a little bit, but I think going on to the further in the journey, the biggest thing that's helped us has been the retreat, which I'm sure obviously you'll go on to, but it's just been
Let's dive into it, because so tell us where you got to. So you're kind of surviving and going, we'll just manage and we'll just kind of go through it. And yeah, someone's shown us how to kind of stand our ground. But obviously for you guys, it was a lot more nuanced than that. And so when you had decided to come up, we had a slightly different plan to the one that actually happened. And you'd kind of said, understandably, it was a bit much. And so we'd planned to have a little bit of a respite. What I thought would be a holiday for you and a holiday for her. We'll just settle her in. We'll do some fun running on the beach and just kind of acclimatize her. And then obviously the reality was a little bit different to that. So talk us through that process to kind of coming and actually joining us.
Yeah. So we obviously got a vet check before we came, and they gave us a
Well, that video lives in my brain.
I know. They gave us the go ahead. They said, yeah, she's happy and healthy. You take her to a residential. That's absolutely fine. So we obviously booked on to come with you and have her as a board and train. And the reality hit. And I think I've actually got a post going out about this on Instagram later. Of it's really hard, and it's quite some of the images when I look back, like I said to you the other day, it's shocking to see how bad her matting was. And I think we'd become blind to it.
Just don't think we ever got close enough to it because we couldn't get close enough to it.
You just couldn't.
Like,
You couldn't.
You didn't notice it until, well, when you see it, like Elle says, it looked like, how didn't you notice it? But it wasn't, we see that's a problem, we're going to ignore it. It was, we genuinely didn't realise it was a problem that it was because we couldn't get near enough to her to actually.
Well, and I guess that you were working on it, right? So what you've got is you've got no professionals saying to you, this is absolutely categorically a priority. And so from your eyes, you were working towards it. You're working towards being able to handle her and being able to touch her. Like, I'm sure that you were aware that grooming was on the list, but realistically, if you've got a dog that snaps at you every time you go near them, you can't get into the depths of how bad it is and what that looks like.
No. So a few weeks prior to coming onto and knowing that I was coming onto the retreat, I did contact groomers that was recommended that works with aggressive dogs, and the first thing that was mentioned was sedation, just to get her to calm down going. And the thought for me when sedation at vet visits in the past, it didn't work because she knew something was wrong, so she fought off the effects. She knew that something was wrong with her. So I didn't want that to happen, and I knew that taking her to a groomer's to try and get her groomed wouldn't work.
Yeah.
With how, I don't know, they probably wouldn't have handled her properly, and you know what you guys did, wouldn't have been confident enough. So I knew it was a problem. I knew that she had mats behind her ears, but I didn't realize how bad they were. And like you say, I knew that I was working up to it. I thought I'll get to that at some point. Can't even touch my dog right now. I'll groom her someday. I'll brush her. So anyway, yeah, we came up obviously with you guys, and yeah, like I say, when I look back at the videos of when we dropped her off with you, and now I think back to, I mean, how skinny she was also, and just how bad the matting in her back end and ears were. And when we got the messages off you like the next day, I mean, you know, I had many a crying tantrums, crying fits, and just meltdowns about it, because it just felt like I failed her massively, and it was not nice. But we knew we were in the right place, and you guys did the absolute best job of the best haircut ever.
I'm not sure Ruby would agree with the haircut that we gave. It was very much a needs must, bless her. There was no style winning there, but I think it was, I mean, it's not, I'm really conscious that it's not really my tale to tell and it's not my emotion to feel, but it actually broke my heart. And having that and knowing that actually it's such a weird position, because you don't really see dogs like that typically unless they've ended up in a shelter or they've been abused, and that was so far from the truth. We act like, I'd spoken to you so many times, we'd had those kind of conversations. I knew that you guys were doing your absolute best with everything that you had available to you, and yet we're still in a world where there'd been so many professionals along the way that had given you advice and given you the ticks and the approval and no, everything's fine. And then I just looked at this dog and I'm like, we can't start doing behavior stuff with her. Like, it would not be fair to even begin to say, hey, can you make a better choice here, when quite clearly there isn't. And I think it was, for me, it was, she quite quickly went to like, oh, hi, it's nice to see you. And oh yeah, if there's some cheese, you can absolutely touch me, like on my chest and on the bits where there wasn't any matting. And so that was then a clear indication that we had a dog that could learn really quickly. But then the minute I went near anywhere that was obviously I'm not disclosing pain, we don't do that, but for me, there was evident discomfort. The difference in her behavior was so big that it was just like, well, we can't deny that there's something here that's part of this puzzle. But also, you've then got that, we've got to find the way to get through it that doesn't then solidify to her that what probably happened at the vets was a lot of handling that was a negative experience for her when she had her spay that then built on that. So we then have to toe that line to build the rapport, but knowing that you guys are then coming up on the Friday to then do the behavior work, and that was such a key part of your journey to get you confident and have that handling practice. So yeah, we were up against the clock.
Yes, massively. And I think, I mean, imagine if we didn't come up early.
I think we'd have had to keep you. I think you'd have been
Honestly, I'm back to work. I'm off sick now for a month.
yeah, sorry, I've got to groom my dog. Yeah,
Honestly, I can't. Still am speechless about it because I just still cannot believe it. And I mean, where we are now is a complete different story, and it's only been what 3 months, 4 months, whatever it's been. And I think that was a big factor with Ruby because I really do believe there was a lot of discomfort there, and her mindset has changed so much to be like, oh, hang on, nothing hurts anymore. I'm okay with a bit of touch, you know, and when we build it up slowly and build up our relationship with people, it's actually working well. Whereas that wasn't even an option before the retreat. She wouldn't let anybody touch her at all.
and it's crazy because what does that look like? And then you start I start to go, how many other dogs out there are the same that have been people can't get close to them, and so they kind of live in the state. I mean, for Atlas it was stress, right? He was obviously still stressed regardless of whether or not we were touching him, but we didn't have those kind of added layers, and it just makes you wonder what the solution is. Like, how do we change an entire industry? It feels heavy. But let's not try and change the entire industry on this podcast, or else we will be here all night. But tell us then, so you came up and you joined us. I'd really like to dive in a little bit about this. So we've talked a lot about how you guys were feeling before you came. We're not here to pretend like the retreat is like, woohoo, we had such a great time and there wasn't any emotional turmoil for us as humans. That's great. But I would love to touch on how that has kind of led to you guys coming out the other side and being able to go home and go, actually, we can chip away at this and we can get all these positive reps in, because it's hugely emotional for us as well.
So take away the first few days, obviously sorting out her fur and matting. The whole weekend was just an eye opener for us because watching you all confidently handle her and just knowing what to do in situations, actually knowing what to do, and instead of absolutely shitting ourselves and going flinching and going, no, can't touch her, to actually being able to push through that and be confident in that situation. You know, not gonna lie, it was very emotional. You know, as you know, I had quite a few crying moments. And you know, we'd go home, we'd go back to the Airbnb afterwards and just be like, wow, okay. This is a lot, but you know, I think the biggest thing for us was watching you guys handle Ruby in such a confident manner. I think that's what we needed. We needed to see somebody else do it and go, oh, hang on a sec, it's not actually that scary. You know, she's muzzled, she's got a muzzle on, she can't hurt us. And actually knowing what to do and the signs to look out for, and you know how everything else plays in, all the different factors of partnership. And I think for you, if you want to talk about you, I think the biggest thing for you was just being able to touch Ruby, because you didn't even want to touch her at all. And I think your progress over the weekend was probably the biggest, because I was in the relationship of us three, I was the one handling Ruby all the time. You know, I did everything. I walked her. I did absolutely everything. I fed her. Nothing you didn't do anything with her because you couldn't. He was too scared. Whereas on the Saturday and the Sunday, you were actually touching her and picking her paw up, and oh my gosh.
It made me sound really shit, honestly.
Now I'm giving you MVP for that weekend, dude. Every single one of us was like, he's a legend. What a guy.
Yeah, well, no, like Elle says, yeah, from the Friday, when we first reps that we did, where we were just getting him out of the car and doing all of that, and I know you put the video out on Reba's Instagram the other day of Jess kind of with Reba just going absolutely berserk, and I remember standing there watching, thinking, this is insane, like convinced that Jess was some sort of like.
You said to me,
like, that's what I mean. Like, how is she doing this? She stood there like, and like I say, the video itself's crazy, but just going mental, and she just stood there, and then Ruby was fine, and then it was like we've not had that kind of experience where, like Elle says, where you guys were just like happy to handle her, and if she did something wrong, it was like it wasn't, because with me it was more, if I was doing anything with Ruby and something went wrong, it was Elle, the dog's doing something wrong, can you figure it out, rather than I didn't know myself how to be like, no, I can still fix this myself. It's not me that she's angry with. It's whatever the situation in her head is, but she's not trying to come for me and then she'll be fine with everyone else, because anyone else in the same situation would have had the same reaction. So yeah, the just seeing it and just being able to do it, and seeing as well, even though none of it was relevant obviously to us and Ruby, but seeing everyone else who was there, and their dogs all had their own issues and things that needed to be looked at. Hence why obviously they were on the retreat with us, and it's not like good to see, because obviously you don't want to see any dog in those situations. But it was almost nice to see, like, and I knew it wasn't just an us problem, but all these different dogs that were there all had little things that were wrong, and their owners were all kind of trying to figure out how to deal with those situations. So
Do you think it had become, sorry to interrupt, do you think it had become personal for you because you were both getting such different layers of it? So actually in your little bubble, it's you and Ellie.
yeah,
Ellie gets a lot more from her and a lot less of the aggression. So then actually when that's mainly in isolation, because you can't really tag anyone else in, you've then got this big weight of like, is this me? Have I done something wrong?
oh, especially after, like I say, especially after coming back from Australia, we had this week just after where every day there wasn't really any issues with Ruby and Elle, but there was issues with me and Ruby every single day, where something started with one incident where she went for me while I was sat on the couch, and that was the worst I'd ever seen her with regards to her aggression towards me. But then it was the next day something else happened, and the next day then we had the incident with the muzzle when I tried to take her for a walk, and it was like, why, like you say, that personal side of it, why is it all directed at me? I don't think I've done anything wrong, but it was kind of that thought that it was personal. But then seeing it when she's reacted the same with Jess, she's reacted the same with Jess, she'll react the same with anyone. It's not that she hates me, it's something that's causing a problem, and she's just deciding at that time who she's going to take it out on. And for that week it was me.
No, I think looking back when we discussed these things, it was a lot we now realise was guarding. Sorry, Ruby. Currently his knees away. She's like, pee break, please. Just interrupt, Ruby. It's not all about you.
She's like, gotta get my voice on somehow.
Um,
Tell my story.
yeah, I think with Tom, he definitely felt it was personal because it was all happening with him. But when we came to you guys and talked to you through those situations, and you had it yourself with you and Sean in your own house,
Yeah.
and it became apparent that she was guarding. She was guarding me from him. She'd do it me from my mum and dad. She did it. Yeah, she was a guarder. And I think that's where Tom thought it was personal to him, but it wasn't. When we look back now, knowing we have the knowledge that we have, we know that it was not personal.
Well, and it never is. And I think one of the biggest things is it's just behavior. But as a human being, it's really hard to get to the point where you can go, hey, this is just behavior. It's fine. We'll get through it.
Yeah.
But you are now getting through it. So tell me now, you've been home for about 3 months. What does daily life look like? What's changed?
Well, amazing. So when we got back, we got the crate back out, and we kind of carried on with a bit of reset rules and resetting boundaries. Carried on with that. So muzzled in the house still and all that kind of stuff to keep us safe. But just the little things. I know you already know this, but just the little things of being able to brush her every day, holding her collar was another thing. Just being able to hold her collar, brushing her, taking her out on walks, and me going, no, you don't need to do this. I'll handle it. And just me being so much more confident. I think the biggest shift not the biggest shift, but a big thing for us in terms of as a family, we now share walks. If I'm busy in the morning, Tom will walk Ruby. beforehand it was me, 2 walks every day. I did it all. I didn't have a break, and I'm still working a 9 till 5 Monday to Friday job, and I was walking her every single day and didn't have a break from anything. It was always me. And I know, obviously, I knew that getting a dog, but I just mean,
Yeah, but it's an extra level when it's a bitey dog. Like,
Yes.
there's a difference between just heading out on a walk
Yeah.
and actually managing all the
Yeah.
things.
yeah, exactly. So a good thing for us that's been a huge shift is just Tom. I know I always sound silly when I say these things out loud, but just Tom being able to take her for a walk. With Sherry, he literally probably takes her for a walk more than me some weeks because I'm busy with work, and that's been a really, really amazing thing for us. Our confidence, just being able to do that, has been amazing. But the biggest thing for us is strangers touching Ruby.
Every time you put a post up, I'm like, oh, what am I going to see today?
Oh my goodness, strangers touching Ruby, and it's just crazy. It blows my mind every single day that I do it. And even with the vets, going back last year, we changed vets. This is our 4th vets that we're on at the minute. And we finally found the person for us, and it is a massive weight off our shoulders. And that's just even another thing. We've only met the new vet nurse twice, and she's already been able to stroke her and feeling and got actual calm body language in a room in a vet's, which is just unbelievable. And it just comes down to me knowing what to do, me knowing how to handle those situations. Ruby's less stressed. We're doing more fun things because we're not stressed as a family anymore. We can go out and do our herding games together. Like, we go to the park and do it as a family, and because we're not stressed. Whereas before, it was like a chore. It was like, right, we've got to put her on the lead. We've got to try and take her for a walk without being bitten and without her trying to attack a dog and all that kind of stuff. So there was never anything fun. We try and bring fun things into it. She loves water. She loves a frisbee, but it was confined to the back garden, and that was it. Whereas now, life is fun. Like, she has a fun time all the time. She's not stressed. So obviously it's all the bigger picture. Everything that we're doing in the background is helping towards strangers being able to touch her. But I even, like, yesterday I went out with a friend. She's teared a bit of her paw pad from running too fast on gravel.
She's all gas, no brakes, that girl.
She is. But came home yesterday and checked it, touched it, absolutely no problems at all. And then I just thought, and this is another thing that the retreat has helped me with, is me going so much more confident out on walks. I'll just go to one of my friends and I'll just go, right, do you want to just pick up a paw for me? And they're like, oh yeah, okay, sure. And I've got these friends because they're all most of them are Honest Hounds community people anyway, so that's who most of my friends are at the minute. But yeah, it's me having that confidence to go, she's not going to kick off, and if she does kick off, I know how to handle it now, and so do most of my friends and the people that we walk with. So yeah, biggest change for us is just being able to have strangers touch her, because that was where it was just going wrong. Nobody could touch her.
I know what I'm seeing in all of your videos as well. We've got a dog that's anticipatory as well now. She's not like that video that you sent of your new vet was phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
even at the vet in that setting, we've still got a happy tail. We've still got loose body. Like, she's genuinely seems to be looking forward to those moments and seeking them out, rather than like, oh God, I'll just hold it together and you can touch me and I won't. Which is the bit we want, right? And to see that already, I'm just so buzzing to see where you guys are at in 6 months and a year as you just keep going with that. And I think that it's the life that, like you say, like, we get dogs, we expect to have to walk them, we expect to have to put that time and energy in and know their breed and do those things, but actually having the ability to do things together and enjoy it and not have the insane stress of wondering when you're going to get attacked next is pretty much what every owner should be able to have. And it's so sad how many people there are still out there that haven't got there yet.
It's so sad. And I think the biggest thing for example, in the vets is, let's say, rewind before the retreat, I'd go into the vets. I mean, I'll be completely honest. For my anxiety, I take propranolol, so to slow my heart rate down. And I was doing that before going to the vets with Ruby.
Oh.
And, I'd go into the vets and be an absolute mess. I'd come out and have a crying episode in the car. It would all be a massive stress. And obviously, Ruby was clearly feeding off all of that too. She was going, Mum's tense and anxious, so I'm going to be as well because clearly something's not right here. Whereas these 2 last visits we've done with the new vets, I've gone in like head held high. I know what to say. I'm telling the vet what to do. It doesn't even feel awkward. Like I used to think, oh, I can't tell the vet to touch her, and she's a professional. I can't tell her what to do. Whereas I go in now going, right, this is what you need to do today. And she's like, but this is the good thing about her is that she listens to us, wants to work with us, and it's just amazing. It's amazing. But yeah, we've got a lot more confidence now, which is just the best thing ever.
I think it's that empowerment, right? And that actually, like, yeah, you guys came up for the weekend, but really that's where it begins. And what we've done is you guys are now empowered to do that. And that's the beauty of it, is that, yeah, the vet is probably absolutely buzzing that you're helping her make her job easier and have a more successful time with the dog. They probably would love more owners that take that. And I think that once you start to go, actually, it doesn't matter if things are a bit wonky along the way or we have some setbacks, it's going to be inevitable. But actually, you're a team now. You're back on track with doing that together. And you know that whatever happens, you can pivot and there's always a way through. Plus, you've got a dog that's in a completely different headspace, feeling good in her body, who is much more resilient than she ever has been before.
Yeah, massively.
So before we wrap up with a quick fire round, then tell me, what are you looking forward to in the future? So you guys are full steam ahead. You're doing all the fun things. What's next for Team Ruby?
Oh, what's next? So vets is probably one of the things that I want to focus on because obviously that's an important thing. If anything ever goes wrong, touch wood, it doesn't. If we ever need an emergency visit, I want that to be going smooth as possible. So we are doing weekly drop-ins at the vets and doing that every single week, just to build that up with her. And we're also bringing in a few of the other nurses just to get her used to other people as well, just in case she's not in. So that's a big focus for me. Like I say, because in emergencies we need that, like, which was not talked about. Before we came on the retreat, she got a thorn stuck in her paw, and
The thorn phone call.
yes, and I'm meant to be on your pre-retreat Zoom call to talk about what we're going to do for the weekend, and I answer it absolutely sobbing in the car, going, "I've got to go to the vets because we can't get a thorn out of her paw," and then come home and the vets have gone, "Well, we can't do it." Absolutely horrendous. Luckily, it fell out by itself. She must have chewed it out, maybe, I don't know. But so obviously, emergencies like that, if that got infected or anything, we vet couldn't have touched her. They would have had to jab her and put her down and not put her down. Oh my god,
Or under.
put her under. Put her under because, and I don't want that to happen. I want it to be a positive experience going to the vet. So that's probably a big one for us. Like maybe a few steps ahead of that, we want to move into a bigger house because we want to eventually start a family. So that would be something as well. That's obviously a few years down the line, but yeah, I think continuing with the strangers, touching her, vets, and then at some point doing more resource guarding stuff.
I wanted to win Bestie Show at Crufts in 2 years' time, so we're working on that as well.
Love that.
But yeah.
You're going to look fabulous around I'll come along and hold a little sign for you.
Now, for me, it's continuing to build that relationship of Ruby with other people, and just for making our lives easier in terms of not having to stress about whenever we've got plans and like last minute things. We can't really do last minute still at the minute because it's got to be who's going to have Ruby, and the only people really at the minute who would still be comfortable with Ruby kind of overnight or kind of on that longer term basis is our mum and dad. So continue to build that relationship with people who are happy to help with Ruby, just so it just makes it sounds really selfish, but so just it makes our lives a little bit easier, just so it's like
really need a do-over on that we need to go and have a holiday and come back and everything's chill.
Exactly. And we're off to Thailand in February or March next year for a wedding for just over 2 weeks. So we've got a friend who we're currently working with, who is gonna house sit and look after Ruby. So continuing to build those relationships so that by the time we get to to Thailand next year. It's not a worry. We can go and we can be on holiday. We can check the phone to see what's going on, but not checking the phone anticipating there will be an issue. We're just checking the phone for more information that she's sound and that she's doing all right. So yeah, just that for me for kind of short to long term is like the goal is to just continue to work on being happy with other people in the house and outside the house as well.
And us.
Yeah, and us, but that's kind of a given, isn't it?
Right, whatever, I've got that sorted now.
Yeah, well, this is it. It feels like we do, like...
Yeah, don't really worry about... Well, I think that's kind of that shows they're asking that. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't read the questions that you said you were going to send us. Elle told me to read my emails and I've been working, I forgot.
I do not run through.
I've not... That's just kind of an off-the-cuff answer from now, so that kind of shows that the first starts now, which 6 weeks ago prior, or a few months ago prior to the retreat, it would have been, I want to be able to take Ruby out for a walk and put a muzzle on and be able to do this without fear of any kind of reaction. And that's just not something that, I mean, it's still always going to be a little bit of a worry because she is still a reactive dog and there is still always that potential that the things can happen and that's never going to go away. But it's not the first thought anymore. It's not my instant thought isn't, I want my relationship with Ruby to be better. It's more, I feel that's a place we're happy with now, and then there's the other relationships to work on moving forward.
I love that. Love it. Right, I'm going to fire some quick questions at you. We'll let Ellie do the first ones, Tom, and then you can tag in if you've got something that differs.
Okay.
It's like,
I'll take one.
Okay, first question is your favourite thing, Ellie, about Ruby?
Oh, my favourite thing about Ruby. Wow.
Quick fire question.
I know, I'm sorry.
Right, Tom, give me yours.
You tagged me out. I wasn't prepared for it.
Her enthusiasm and love for water is probably my favourite thing because she's just obsessed. And I feel like I've put that into her because I also love water and swimming, and I feel like I've made her into that dog.
Her ability to collect golf balls is really handy for me because I keep losing golf balls playing. So then we take Ruby out down the golf course and she'll bring back 5 new ones for me. So that's handy on a selfish front.
Very smart. Her favourite thing to do?
Stand in water. That is absolutely her favourite thing.
It's so funny. Your favourite training items? This can be absolutely anything.
Ooh, well, her muzzle. After the training item?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely my favourite thing.
I like that ball at the minute. That one that she's doing the herding games with.
Holy roly. Yeah, we like them. Okay, so we often have people, you guys will go along your journeys and you'll get superpowers along the way that you didn't even realise that you had. So what is your dog owner superpower?
Ooh. That's a really hard question, Jessie. I feel like mine would be the ability to push through when things go wrong. Because I think in day-to-day life, I can be quite kind of, I don't push through things. I kind of panic and go, oh no. But with the dog, with Ruby, I feel like I have the ability to do that. When things have gone south with us and Tom's gone, I can't do it, I've just gone, no, we need to push through and carry on. So I don't know what a word would be for that.
Resilience.
Resilience, yeah.
Captain Resilience.
Yeah. I love it.
I don't think I have one. I don't think I've got.
Oh, stop.
No, genuinely, I'm not being like, ooh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. But genuinely, I don't think I have one. Not that's obvious.
I literally turned up at a weekend too afraid to touch your dog and could have easily gone, I'm not doing that. And instead you went, hey, this is really important to everyone. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Even though it's terrifying. I think you've got a few.
My superpower is fear of people thinking I'm a wuss. So, yeah.
Stubbornness. We'll give it to you. We love it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah. Dedication.
Yeah. Stubbornness is better.
But for all the right reasons, because you knew how important it was.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. One thing you wish you'd known from day one of bringing Ruby home.
Oh, wow. One.
A spade after 6 months would probably be the main one.
You know what mine would actually be? Boundaries. boundaries, because I think that was one of the things for Ruby's space, guarding space, is letting her on the sofa. We used to let her upstairs on the bed. You know, she was allowed on the sofa, she was allowed everywhere, even like on the kitchen chairs. Boundaries. I think that's a big one for Ruby, because I think she's a demander of attention, as you saw. So that definitely one I wish I had known is boundaries. Definitely.
Yeah. And my final question for you before we wrap up, one thing that you would say to people who are still struggling on their journey.
Oh my God, push through. Yes, push through. I just think stay strong and find the right people. If you listen to this podcast, you know about Honest Hounds, then you've definitely found the right people. Yeah, immerse yourself into the community and just be honest about your journey. I think that was hard for me as well, was, you know, actually being honest about my dog trying to bite me. So yeah, be honest and really, really just utilize communities like Honest Hounds to get the support from people who have been there.
Guys, you are an absolute powerhouse of a team. Absolutely love following along and seeing your journeys. I'll tag your Instagram in the caption so everyone else can see the lovely videos of everyone picking up her paw in the world too and how much she loves it. But thank you so much for your time this evening, and I'll see you soon.